as someone who has like friends who have gone to like actual schools to like get better and stuff like that, this is a much more worthwhile like boot camp to take on, especially if you're prepared for something like this. Like if you can dedicate the time and are serious about your progress and getting better, this is something that'll there's no way to not get to where you're going if you if you're doing this much music and are being critical about it, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're doing the amount of content that you're doing, or and it's like even sometimes like maybe I didn't reach the exact amount of things that we had to make just between work and everything, but the amount of like obsession you need to have with like the amount of music you're putting out. So it's like whenever you're not doing what you're doing, you come, you make music. Or if you're not feeling it, you just try and then come back the next day because you have to meet as much of your quota as you can.
Yeah.
I feel like that made me overcome like a lot of delay in creating good things. You know what I mean? Because like you just kind of get used to working through oh, I don't even know if I can make something today. Um, and then yeah, I feel like remaking stuff is extremely humbling. And
Mm.
that was probably the thing that made me realize I didn't know as much about the songs that I really liked as I thought I knew about them.
Mm. Yeah.
And then bringing that into everything that I'm making now, it just sounds a lot better. And then also, probably what a big takeaway is just starting off with better sounding stuff. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm.
used to think like, oh, I'll get it to sound good. And it's like now I feel like off the rip, my stuff is already sounding pretty good. Like it's already hitting the way it's supposed to. And then the master is just um like just to wrap it all up, you know, instead of like really relying on it to
Mm.
try and make it sound good, using that to like squeeze everything out of out of what I envision in the song. It's more like I had a buddy when he came to AB and he was like looking at my master chain, just like looking to learn. He's like, bro, it doesn't sound that much different. And I was like, I know because it's already sounding that good before I
Yeah.
even get
Yeah. Yeah.
there,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Hell yeah.
know,
Hell yeah.
which is like really important. So
Yeah.
yeah, dude, it's been a crazy. I think I had like 2 weeks where I couldn't make it, so it's been 12 weeks, but
That's all
it's been
good.
yeah, it's been epic. It
Hell yeah.
was a really transformative experience for sure.
What do you feel like was the biggest bottlenecks that you had throughout this journey? Like, what was the thing that kept happening to you? Like
Oh, the
recurring
side chain, side
sidechain.
chaining the kick to the base. It took me a while. I think I underestimated how much side chain it really takes to get the side chain right.
Yeah.
Um, So I kept nudging it over and over every week until finally I was like, okay, this is the right way to sidechain.
Right.
I just was really in denial about that.
And which route did you go with sidechain? Did you use a plugin or was it just like automation?
It's both, depending on the song, because I was doing some two-step UKG stuff and I didn't want to MIDI trigger it. I just wanted to use utility.
Yep.
And then because the pattern was just too difficult, and then I had like ghost kicks and stuff.
Mm.
So with like MIDI, I don't think I would have gotten the same response. And then Shaper Box for all my house tracks, because I just
Awesome.
feel like it has the best amount of curve on it that you can get.
Yeah. Plus it's recurring. This is the same fucking shape. 4/4. So
Yeah,
easy.
and it's easy to turn on, off, like A/B different ones. It's a good option for a floor to the floor.
Yeah, so let's go back on your chart a little bit and just see at the start. So like how did you feel about like the very start? You know, when we did our first session before, Callum joined in, how did you
Yeah.
feel about the exercises? Because obviously you wouldn't have done this type of work before where you're like trying to make, five of these in a week.
No, I don't think I really pushed myself like that when I used to make music. So like signing up and then committing to to your guys' concept um was definitely a bit of a push.
Mm.
And I think I remember messaging you and being like, yeah, dude, this is humbling as fuck. So like
Yeah,
just feel like sorry I'm cursing, but this is humbling. Like
yeah,
I don't I didn't expect it to be this hard
yeah.
to remake some of this stuff. Um and honestly at some point sometimes it was getting a little discouraging,
Oh yeah.
but I feel like every week it got a little bit better. And even if I couldn't get it to sound exactly, I think it was going through the motions and
Yep.
experiencing your kick and bass response in each track. Like you're getting like more points in your backpack of experience and what to do next time. And it was like by the end of the 5 weeks, I would say I had so many tricks, buildups, processing, even like I saved all of the samples that I was using because
Sick.
visually you can't tell, you know?
Exactly.
So I was able to grab the best kicks from the stuff that I heard. I was able to grab the best risers, the best claps, the best hats. And then when we got to the originals, I just kind of already had put together my favorite artist kind of sample pack.
Hell yeah. That's exactly what I try to encourage people to do is that not enough people
Yeah.
save what they're implementing in the recreation phase, that's really what, if you want to sound like these people and that's what your sound's developing from, it's like makes sense to save whatever patches, groups, fucking files you have to keep reusing for when you switch to the originals. So how do you feel about the transition from when you went recreating for 5 weeks to, doing high volume originals? Did it feel like almost like a weight was lifted off your shoulders because you're like, oh my God, thank fuck, I don't have to do recreations anymore.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. I think
Yeah,
the first feeling was like, great, I get to make my own stuff, and the second
yeah,
thing is like, oh my God, what do I make when I'm not copying somebody else?
yeah,
You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
so it was a bit of both, but then definitely once I got back into creating my own stuff, um, it was really fun to exercise that level of creativity and discovery
yeah.
with all the processing information that I've had prior. And I don't think I'm going to stop remaking other people's stuff. I think
Sick.
I'm going to try and do one every week or 2 weeks and do like a build up or a drop or just something and do a deep dive in it because, um, yeah, like just the way that it trained my ears was, and to understand a genre, like,
Mm,
like if you like the amount of house songs that I had remade at this point is crazy. And I really began to understand um, the amount of depth that goes into something that generally you would think house is pretty simple.
mm. Yeah, man. So with the as you were saying before about training your ears, that's completely correct because I would argue with most people that, they try and learn as many different techniques as possible. But the issue is if you don't have the discernment for what like training your ear, you're not really able to use it properly. So that's
Yeah.
why the recreation stuff's so good, like you said, because you start hearing things you couldn't hear before, like noticing things that were so low in the mix that it just opens up this other world of how you perceive like frequencies and stuff and layering.
Yeah.
Like it opens
A
up an
common
entire new
a
field.
common a common experience was like you're like, okay, it's just like a clap on the eighth and then like a riser. And then you put it in, and you're like, what's all this other stuff back there that I'm
Yeah,
missing?
yeah. There's so much more to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you feel like when you transitioned from recreation stuff to then original stuff, were you able to just like fly straight through it, or was there still a bit of resistance?
No, I was able once I had a motif or an idea that I felt was like worthy of extrapolating and taking like to the fullest degree, it honestly kind of just builds itself.
Sick.
It like all the songs start kind of finishing themselves. I just need like one moment of inspiration to then know what style of music that I like to make is required for what that idea in the style that I'm trying to make is going to take. You know, like I know how
Fantastic.
to make the style. So
Fantastic. Judging by like the data that was collected here, it looks like your drum stuff like stayed pretty good consistently. And it
yeah,
was just like some, like you said, the kick bass relationship, the sidechain stuff,
yeah,
bit of basic compression stuff, some click stuff, transient stuff, just some really basic feedback at this point. Like it looks like everything's good. Well, I'm curious to hear what this one was,
yeah.
where it says gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the last link I sent you just now.
Okay,
So
okay.
do that
I'll
one.
listen to that one too. So overall, like, what do you feel like was the main things that, like, from everything you've learned here, moving forward, what do you think you're going to focus on the most now?
Like in terms of like education
Oh, just
and
like
like
in your production in general, like, what do you feel like you're going to focus on more so now?
yeah, I feel like my I the as I made a lot of the remakes and then started making my own stuff, I'm like kind of doubling down on making like just house music, like how like tech house that I really like. I would say like big inspirations for me right now are Chris Lake and Sammy Virji and um who else? Some like more underground characters too. And that's just kind of like what I like to make and makes me happy. So it's just kind of sticking to that and finding new and fun ways to make people dance.
Fantastic. So you'll probably do some more recreation stuff there and then make some more originals around that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
sick,
so.
sick. And one last question as well. If there was anybody that was watching this that was on the fence about industry, say, what advice would you give to them about your experience?
As someone who has like friends who have gone to like actual schools to like get better and stuff like that, this is a much more worthwhile like boot camp to take on, especially if you're prepared for something like this. Like if you can dedicate the time and are serious about your progress and getting better, this is something that'll there's no way to not get to where you're going if you if you're doing this much music and are being critical about it, you know?
Yeah.
You
Like
should do it.
it's guaranteed to get a result. Like if you do all the exercises, you're guaranteed to get a really good result.
Yeah, if you literally sit down, I think I watched all the videos in my first week and
Nice.
then dove right in. You just have to be serious about it. But if you're serious about it and are critical and like listen to your instructor and
Yeah.
if you're making the same mistake on every track, it's I think there was 3 weeks in a row where my kick sidechain was still messed up.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll get it right, but you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
like be critical and want to get better.
Yeah. Absolutely.